Seen from high above, it's a sliver, a narrow country, curled down the far edge of mainland Asia. Mountains on one shoulder, the sea on the other, bending southward like a drawn bow. The land only widens where the great rivers empty out, flattening into deltas so green and so wet they blur the line between water and field. Rice is the reason. This is one of the great rice lands of the world. Silt country, where the Mekong breaks into 9 channels before it reaches the sea, and the northern paddies climb the hills in stone-edged steps. Down at ground level, the heat sits on you, heavy and damp, and the morning arrives in a roar of small engines, motorbikes by the million, threading and merging and never quite stopping, carrying whole families, live pigs, sheets of glass, whatever the day requires. That flood is the clue. Behind the postcard of terraces and limestone islands is one of the fastest changing societies on the planet, and a place the rest of the world keeps picturing wrong, still frozen in old footage of a war. This is Vietnam. Nearly 100 million people, most of them born after the war, many after the country opened its economy in the late 1980s. That economy grew about 8% last year, among the fastest anywhere, and the country now ships more phones abroad than almost any nation on earth. From the coffee plateaus of the Central Highlands to Hanoi's tangled old streets to the towers going up over Saigon, the whole place is racing forward and carrying its past with it every step. This is a country now clearing the gasoline motorbike out of its capital's oldest streets, even as it sets out rice and incense for grandparents who died long ago. The newest decade and the oldest ones sharing one house. This is what it actually looks like to live in Vietnam today. Before the streets fill, there is coffee. The day here doesn't really start until someone has made it, and it's made slowly, on purpose. A small metal filter, a phin, sits on the lip of a glass. Ground Robusta goes in, then a little hot water to let it swell, then more, and you wait while it drips down almost black onto a finger of sweetened condensed milk. Stir it, pour it over ice, and that's café soja, the drink that runs the country. The condensed milk came in with the French. Fresh milk spoiled in the tropical heat, so the sweet tinned kind took over, and it stayed. The strength stayed too. Vietnam grows Robusta, the blunt, high caffeine bean, and grows a staggering amount of it. After Brazil, no country ships more coffee abroad, and much of what the world drinks as instant begins on the red volcanic soil of the Central Highlands, on the plateau around Buon Ma Thuot. In Hanoi, they'll whip egg yolk into a warm foam and call it egg coffee, a wartime trick from the 1940s when milk was scarce. Down in Hue, they stir in a pinch of salt. But the coffee is really just the reason to sit down. The sheet is a low plastic stool, ankle height, pulled up to a table barely taller, out on the pavement where the whole street goes by. A man reads the paper. 2 women argue happily about nothing. Someone has been nursing the same glass for an hour in no rush at all, and this is normal, a pocket of stillness at the edge of a country that otherwise never stops moving. A few doors down, the morning has real work to do. The neighborhood market opens early, before the sun turns cruel. Herbs come in damp bundles, mint, perilla, sawtooth coriander. Fish are still moving in shallow tubs. A cleaver comes down on a coconut in one clean stroke. The woman selling greens knows your mother. knows what you bought last week, knows you'll want the same again. And the buying and the gossip are the same conversation. Nothing here is anonymous. A city of millions, and it still runs on who knows whom. That street, the stools, the market stalls, the river of small engines, is the thing the world almost never pictures. Ask most people abroad what they know of this country, and the answer is a war, and the war ends in 1975. That April, a conflict that had run for a generation came to a close. Northern tanks reached the southern capital. The two halves of a divided country were joined into one, and Saigon was given a new name, Ho Chi Minh City, after the leader who had declared Vietnam independent 30 years earlier. Half a century has passed, long enough that most of the people on these streets today were never alive to see any of it. For them, the war is a grandparent's story, held in the family, and honored, but inherited rather than lived. What they have lived instead is the turn that came a decade later. In 1986, a country still poor and often hungry chose to open its economy, carefully, to the market. There's a word for that decision, joy moi, renovation. It changed everything. Consider the arithmetic. In the mid-1980s, the average Vietnamese got by on a few $100s a year. Within one lifetime, that figure has climbed past 5,000, and extreme poverty, which not long ago touched around 1 person in 7, has dropped below 1 in 25. Few countries anywhere have come so far so fast. You can watch the two timelines meet on the anniversary of that April day. The tanks and the marching columns still roll through Ho Chi Minh City. The flags still turn the whole city red. And lining the route stand thousands of young people filming it all on their phones, cheering the soldiers the way a crowd cheers a pop star. A war their grandparents fought, watched now through a screen by a generation that has only ever known the peace. And the old name never quite left. On paper, the city is Ho Chi Minh City. In conversation at the airport, on the front of a bus, half the country still says Saigon. Two names for one place, the past and the present sharing a single address, which is, in miniature, the whole country. Step through the door of one of those addresses and you find the generations sharing it. Grandparents, parents, and children live under one roof, or a few doors apart on the same lane, and no one finds it remarkable. Aging parents aren't shipped off to be minded by strangers. They stay, and they earn their keep. The grandmother, the ba, runs the kitchen and half raises the grandchildren while the parents work. You can hear this order in the way people talk. Vietnamese has almost no neutral word for you. You address someone by their exact rung in the family instead. Older brother, younger sibling, aunt, uncle, grandfather. And you reach for those same words with people you've never met, sorting a shopkeeper or a fellow passenger into the family tree by rough age. To speak at all is to place yourself in a web of who is older and who is younger. At the center of the house is the altar. In a corner of the main room, or up on the top floor of a narrow city house, there's a small shrine, photographs of the dead, a brass bowl for incense, a plate of fruit, a cup of tea. On the 1st and the 15th of each lunar month, someone lights 3 sticks of incense, and the smoke climbs, a thin line drawn between the living and the ones who came before them. Once a year, on the anniversary of a death, the Ngai Gio, The relatives gather, cook the person's favorite dishes, and set them on the altar first, before anyone lifts a chopstick. The dead are not gone. They are guests who arrive on a schedule. Out past the family altar is a wider inheritance, and the first thing everyone holds in common is the language. Vietnamese is tonal. The same short word, said on a different pitch, turns into something else entirely. And the standard example is a single syllable ma. Flat, it means ghost. Rising, its mother. With a dip, a hook, a break, a heavy stop, those same two letters give you but, and tomb and horse, and the young green shoot of a rice plant. The distance between mother and tombstone is nothing more than the angle of your voice. For most of its history, that language was written in Chinese characters, or a homegrown script built out of them. What's used today is neither. It's the Latin alphabet, the same letters as English, loaded with accent marks, worked out in the 1600s by European missionaries trying to pin the sounds to paper, and made official generations later. A country of Roman letters among the curving scripts of Southeast Asia. A whole nation that changed the way it writes and carried on. 1 week, a year gathers all of this into a single room. Tet, the Lunar New Year, is the still point the calendar turns around, and in the days before it the country runs in reverse. The cities drain as millions ride and fly, and pack onto buses to reach the villages they came from. However far, whatever it costs, you go home for Tet. There the rituals are exact. Families boil ban chung, a dense square of sticky rice folded around pork and mung bean, wrapped in green leaves, and simmered half a day over a fire the household sits up minding. Children collect liuji, red envelopes of crisp new notes. No one sweeps the floor in the first days, for fear of brushing the luck out with the dust. And it matters a great deal who first steps across the threshold in the new year, because that visitor sets the fortune of everything that follows. Even the zodiac has been made local. Where much of Asia counts a year of the rabbit, Vietnam counts the cat. Where the calendar marks the ox, here it's the water buffalo, the animal that actually drags a plow through a flooded paddy. Some of what lasts came straight out of those paddies. In the Delta villages, farmers once turned their flooded fields into a stage, working carved wooden puppets on long poles hidden under the water, so that dragons and fishermen and rice planters glide across the surface to the beat of drums and the moan of a single string. Water puppetry, they call it, and it is close to 1,000 years old. And Vietnamese itself is a broad word. The country recognizes 54 peoples. Around 9 in 10 belong to the majority, the Kin, who fill the lowlands and the cities, but climb into the northern mountains, and the story changes with the altitude. Around Sapa and Mu Kang Chai, Hmong families farm rice on green terraces cut step by step into the hillsides. In Hajiang, their corn climbs slopes so steep they look vertical. Down the central coast stand brick towers left by the Cham, the remnant of a Hindu kingdom that ruled here for centuries before Vietnam grew south and absorbed it. One flag and dozens of ways of belonging to it. Whatever a family calls itself, it still has to make a living. And for most of this country's history, the answer was the same: rice and the water buffalo and the mud. Vietnam grows an enormous amount of it, enough to feed 100 million people and sell one of the largest rice surpluses on earth to everyone else. The Mekong Delta alone, that flat green sponge in the south, puts out more than half the national crop. Add the coffee coming off the highlands, and there's the old economy in a phrase, what the land makes. Then, in a single generation, the country grafted a second economy on top of the first. Walk the edge of any big city now, and you pass them. Long, low factories behind steel fences, tens of thousands of workers pouring through the gates at shift change on, of course, motorbikes. Inside, they are building the world's electronics. The clearest way to grasp how far this has gone is one company. Samsung, the Korean giant, assembles a large share of its phones in Vietnam, and that single firm accounts for something like a fifth of everything the country ships abroad. Intel and Foxconn have taken the same road in. Vietnam now exports more smartphones than nearly any nation alive, and roughly half of every job in the country is tied, one way or another, to selling things overseas. The two economies run side by side on the same morning. In a cafe in District 1 in Saigon, a young software engineer opens a laptop and writes code for a company in California. 2 hours south, in the Delta, her grandparents are bent in a paddy, planting the same rice their family has planted for a century. Same country, same week. The oldest work in the land, and the newest inside one family. There is a catch inside the boom, and people here know it. Most of those export numbers belong to foreign companies. The phones say, Made in Vietnam on the back, the brand on the front, and most of the money belongs to someone else. The country has been the hands that build the world's gadgets. What it wants next is to be the name on the box, which is the whole bet behind VinFast, the homegrown car maker turning out electric vehicles launched by the man who is now the richest in the country, not assembling someone else's product, selling its own. All that work, in the end, buys a meal, and at the middle of the table there is a bowl of plain white rice. Come! Almost nothing here counts as a real meal without it. The other dishes crowd the middle of the table for everyone to share, and each person eats from a bowl of rice raised close to the chin. Running through all of it is one taste: nuoc mam, fish sauce, anchovies packed in salt and left to ferment down to a deep, sharp, savory liquid, cut with lime and sugar and chili into the dip that touches nearly everything on the table. And there is one thing you never do. You don't stand your chopsticks upright in the rice. That's how a bowl is offered on the altar to the dead. Eat your way from the top of the country to the bottom, and the food shifts with the map. In the north, it's restrained and clean, after the plain flavor of the thing itself. The morning bowl of pho, its beef broth simmered overnight with charred ginger, star anise, and cassia bark until it runs clear and fragrant. Come to the center, to the old imperial city of Yo, and the cooking turns fierier and more courtly. Bon bo huo, a beef and pork noodle soup, stained red with chili and sharp with lemongrass, hot enough to make pho seem shy. Pull back from the table and the country stands up on its edges. For all the flat green of the deltas, most of Vietnam is mountain, steep, forested country. And it climbs in the far northwest to a single gray peak called Fansipan, more than 3,000 meters up, high enough that people have taken to calling it the roof of Indochina. 2/3 of the land tilts and rises like this, which is why almost everyone lives in the other third, down where it lies flat and wet, and the rivers spread out, crammed onto the deltas shoulder to shoulder, on some of the most densely farmed ground anywhere on Earth. The northern delta, the one that cradles Hanoi, owes as much to human hands as to the river. The Red River carries so heavy a load of silt that it runs higher than the fields beside it, and for thousands of years people have answered it with earth. Long dikes raised by hand, canal branching into canal, a whole system built to pen the river in and let it feed the rice without drowning it. The silt keeps coming, so the delta itself keeps growing, nudging a little further out into the Gulf each year. A country arguing with a river and winning one wall at a time. The southern deltas settled the argument the other way. Down there, the water won, and people simply learned to live on it. Houses stand on stilts over brown channels. A child paddles a tin boat to a neighbor's. The market floats, sampans nose together at first light near the city of Kontho, each with a sample of its goods lashed to a tall pole, a pineapple or a cabbage hoisted overhead, so you can read the boat from clear across the water. Here a river is a road, a field, and a front yard at once. Over all of it moves the weather, and it does not move gently. The north gets a cool, gray winter and a soaking summer. The south keeps just two seasons, the dry and the drowned, and the long central coast takes the sea's full temper, storm after storm, coming ashore off the water every year. The land gives generously, and it takes. And the richest ground of all, that low southern rice bowl, feeding the entire country, sits only a meter or two above the sea. The sea is rising to meet it. The land decides much here, but the way a person crosses it, hour to hour, comes down to a single machine. 2 wheels and a small engine. There are more than 70 million motorbikes in Vietnam, close to 1 for every 2 people, and in a city, they are simply how a life moves. A whole family rides one seat, father driving, small child standing at the handlebars, mother behind with the baby and the shopping. A trader carries a tower of caged ducks. A delivery man balances a stack of foam boxes as tall as he is. Need a lift across town, and you flag a exa om, a hug bike, so-called, because you climb on the back and hold on. And you learn a strange skill, how to cross the road. You don't wait for a gap, because none comes. You step off the curb and walk slowly, steadily, straight into it. And the river of bikes reads your speed and flows around you, never quite touching. A whole country has agreed on this without a word. The machine came fast. A generation ago, this was a land of bicycles. The motorbike is the thing a family bought the moment it had a little money. The first taste of getting somewhere on your own. And when Vietnam decides to change a daily habit, it can do it almost overnight. In 2007, the government made helmets compulsory, and a nation that had never worn one put them on within days. Now it has decided something larger. The reason is the air. Hanoi's winter sky turns a thick, throat-catching gray, ranking some mornings among the most polluted on Earth, and the beloved machine is a chief cause. So the state has begun pushing it out. Gasoline bikes are being cleared from the oldest heart of Hanoi, the tangle of lanes inside the innermost ring road, during set hours, with the restricted zone due to widen year by year until, by the middle of the century, the plan is to be rid of the petrol two-wheeler altogether. In its place, electric, homegrown scooters, a fleet of pale green electric taxis humming through the same streets. The catch is who pays. Clearing the air is easy to announce and hard to live, and the people most welded to their bikes, the delivery riders, the actual men, the market traders working long days on thin margins, are exactly the ones who can least afford a new electric one, in a city where the places to charge it are still few. Half of Hanoi nods along. The other half asks how. And so, the machine that meant freedom to one generation is being ushered out to make room for the next. The future arriving here as it usually does, a little faster than the people it lands on. The future lands hardest on the young, and here the young are the majority. Half the country is under 35. A whole generation raised after the war, after the borders opened, at home in the wider world, in a way their parents never were. And the thing their families ask of them, above nearly everything, is that they study. That instinct runs deep. For centuries, the way up in Vietnam ran through examinations, and the respect for the learned never faded. At Tet, you can still find people queuing at the temple gate for a calligrapher in black robes to brush a single wish onto red paper. A character for study, for luck in the coming exams. Households pour what they have into a child's schooling, and the test that ends high school is a national event, whole cities hushing around it each summer. Then, the carefully educated child leaves, first within the country, off the rice land, and into the factory towns and the two big cities, the same tide that empties the villages every Tet, except this time, much of it doesn't flow back. And for some, the leaving runs further than that, all the way out. Vietnam has scattered people across the world for 50 years. It began in the chaos after 1975, when hundreds of thousands fled by sea in overloaded boats. The ones who made it landing in California, in France, in Australia, in the far corners of the old Eastern Bloc. Later, waves left for work and for study rather than survival. Today, several million Vietnamese leave abroad. In the United States, they are among the largest immigrant communities of all, and a stretch of Southern California is known simply as Little Saigon. They do not forget the ones back home. Every year, the diaspora wires something like $18 billion into the country, one of the largest such flows anywhere on Earth. Money sent to parents, poured into a sibling's half-built house. Many who leave never sat an exam at all. By the tens of thousands, young people sign labor contracts to weld ships in South Korea, tend farms in Japan, run machines in Taiwan, and mail the wages home month after month. But the pull the other way is just as strong. Many who go come back to open a cafe, start a company, grow old where they began, and the ones who stay away carry the country with them wherever they land. In a kitchen in Houston or a suburb of Paris, there is still, somewhere on a shelf, a small altar with photographs and a bowl for incense, and a family that flies back when it can to stand before the original. The real question hanging over the country now is whether it can build enough of a future at home to keep its brightest young people in it. And every Tet, the airports fill with a partial answer, arriving in the other direction, the ones coming home. That pull home is real, so are the forces pulling against it, and the heaviest of them is written into the very land that made the country. The southern delta is coming apart, slowly, from several directions at once. Start with the ground itself. It is sinking. Every year, the whole plain drops a little, a centimeter or so, as too much water is pumped from the wells beneath it, and too much sand is dug out of its riverbeds. And as the land sinks, the sea leans in. In the dry months, salt now creeps up the channels as far as 90 kilometers from the coast. It showers the fields. It taints the wells. It kills a rice crop where rice has always grown. Some years are worse than others. Every year it comes. Then there is the river. The Mekong runs down through 6 countries before it reaches Vietnam, and on the way upstream, a wall of new dams now holds back its silt, the mud that for thousands of years rebuilt the delta faster than the sea could wear it away. Less of that mud arrives now. The land the river made, the river has stopped replacing. Push the trend out far enough, and the numbers turn grim. Roughly a meter of rising sea could put close to half the delta underwater, and with it, the country's larder and the homes of millions. The coast takes the weather head-on. In September 2024, the strongest storm to hit Vietnam in 30 years came ashore in the north and tore across the country, drowning the streets of Hanoi under the swollen Red River. The storms come every autumn, and the warming sea is making them meaner. The pressures in the boomtowns are quieter, but they bite too. The flood of money into Hanoi and Saigon has pushed the price of a home clean out of reach for the young people arriving to chase it. In one recent year, apartment prices in the capital jumped by nearly a third, while a factory wage is still a few $100s a month. And there's a strange catch waiting for anyone who does manage to buy. In Vietnam, you cannot own the land. The ground belongs to the state. You buy the apartment. The earth beneath it is only ever leased. None of this is hidden from the people living it. They watch the salt line creep up the channels. They watch the rent climb past a year's savings. Vietnam is rising, and there's no mistaking it. But no one yet knows how many of its own it can carry up with it, and how much on the way quietly slips under the water. So here is the question a country moving this fast leaves you with. When a place is racing as hard as this one, building, selling, emptying into the cities, trading the very bikes off its streets for something newer, why does it hold on so tightly to the oldest things it owns? Ask, and you won't get an argument. You'll get a shrug, and a plate of food, and an open door. Because the speed was never the point. A young woman codes through the night for a company an ocean away so she can wire money to a mother in the Delta. A man rides the same route 10 hours a day so his children can sit an exam he never got to take. All that motion aims at something that doesn't move. The family, the house, the people, the work was always for. Get somewhere, yes, but get somewhere so you can come back. You can see it in a single morning gesture. Before the metal shutter rolls up, and the shop, and the street, and the whole loud day begin, someone stands at the altar on the upper floor, lights the incense, and bows to the photographs of the ones who came before. The past, first, then the day. Every morning, in that order. And once a year, the whole country makes that same bow at once. At Tet, the racing stops. The factories fall quiet. The highways clog south. The planes fill with sons and daughters flying back from Houston and Seoul and Paris. And they gather in the narrow houses they grew up in before the same small altars and set out the same rice and the same folded cakes their grandparents set out. And the family is whole for a few days, the living and the dead in one room. Down on the street, the engines. Up on the top floor, the incense. The one thing in this hurtling country, in no hurry at all. Curling slowly up over the shop fronts, and the parked bikes, and the wet green fields beyond the city, where the water is rising and the rice still comes in. This is Vietnam, moving faster than almost anywhere on earth, and carrying every bit of its past along for the ride.